Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup, the #1 romance book recs talk show. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Libby Kay, author of the sweet romance series Buckeye Falls and the new release When Sparks Fly.
Libby is joined by guest co-host and friend of the show, cousin Carri, to chat about some of their favorite romance audiobooks and narrators and current audiobook trends. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance Channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps.
Thank you so much for coming back, cousin Carri.
I am so excited to be here. And this is so exciting what we're going to be doing tonight.
I have a couple questions, but I thought, obviously, I know you have some too, but we have to start and just jump right in with our favorite narrators, because I've literally been like giddy about this for days.
Okay.
And I think we have some in common. And I was gonna like wait till the end to talk about my favorite, but I can't because that's how giddy I am. So I thought we would just jump right into who I think we all know about to talk about.
I know who's coming. I know who it's going to be.
It is the fabulous Teddy Hamilton.
Yeah.
And in my preparation for this, I went out of my way to avoid looking at pictures of him because I don't want to know what he looks like. He could look like Henry Cavill and it still will not be whatever I have built up in my mind.
I love that you brought this up because in my research in the past few weeks and like taking my notes, I'm like, well, let me go ahead and like check out their Instagram page. And let me just say that that's not really a good idea.
Oh no.
And it's not anything at all against how these narrators actually look in real life, but they're nothing compared to the characters that you know them for or have in your head. Like sometimes they're just like they're skinnier or taller or older or they're not expected. And like I tend to think back to, have you ever seen the cartoon Archer?
Yeah.
Okay, so like back when that first came out, I was like, oh my God, his voice is so sexy. And then my husband's like, yeah, you think so? Well, this is who it really is. And like he showed me the guy whose voice it is, and like nothing against him, but he is not Archer Sterling. You know what I mean?
No.
Like he's
No.
not. And so like watching it, it was always just sort of like, oh, and also like it's
Yeah, I mean, he, bless his heart, H. John Benjamin definitely looks more like Bob's Burgers, or Bob from Bob's Burgers.
yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I think it's almost safer to maybe not know how some of these voice narrators look.
Yeah.
But that was something that kind of came up when I was doing my research as well. I was just like, it kind of does break the fantasy a little bit.
Yeah, and I was this close last night. I couldn't sleep, and I was just like scrolling through Instagram, and I'm like, I'm gonna look him up. I'm like, don't do it, especially at 2 a.m. when you're awake.
Good call.
So the thing that I like about Teddy Hamilton, other than the fact that his voice is amazing.
I stalked toward her, and her pupils dilated as I came closer and closer to her. She opened her mouth to say something, but I didn't give her a chance.
I feel like he's the king of audiobooks because I've listened to him in a variety of romance genres, like everything from new adult to spicy to sweet to queer, everything and in between. And I feel like every single one, regardless of how the character is written, I think he knocks it out of the park. And I think in some cases, he might have saved a book that if I would have read it in print, I wouldn't have given it as high of a review. Do you feel that way about him?
He was so prolific that I don't think realized how many of the audiobooks I've listened to were actually Teddy Hamilton. Because I wrote it down, like Allie Hazelwood, Elle Kennedy, like he does a lot of hockey romance stuff,
Yes.
which is I also found some new stuff to add to my TBR pile because it's not big enough. Yeah, Elle Kennedy, Abby Jimenez, Tessa Bailey. He was Dream Girl Drama, which
Yes,
again, like it was
saved that book.
it saved that book because it was sort of like a questionable character to begin with.
Yep.
But the voice, like you're like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they do like they make it their own characters. Like each book is its own. They change it. I mean, I guess it's voice acting, right? That's what they call it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My first that I remember thinking, holy crap, was Abby Jimenez's, I think her first one, The Friend Zone, came out maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. It had to have been at least 6 years ago because we weren't living in Ohio. And I remember I got it on a whim because she was new to me and I think new to everybody. And I remember driving to work and I was just like, well, I'm going to be late to work because I'm going to sit in the parking lot for 20 minutes and finish this chapter because there's just something about his delivery. And that was the first time I remember for him, being cognizant of who the narrator was and actually opening up the Libby app and being like, all right, Teddy Hamilton, giddy up.
I always wonder, especially in like really spicy books, though, like what these guys are thinking when they're doing the narration. Like, are
Yes.
they really into it? Are they a little judgy? Are they like, ooh, like, I'm curious what their true reactions are when they're in the booth, doing it.
Yeah. I'm telling myself they love it because I mean, he keeps narrating. I mean, I know he does other things too, but I don't know. I mean,
He has hundreds of narrations.
yeah,
Like as you go through it, like I didn't even realize. So L.C. Silver, I don't think I've ever read any of L.C. Silver's
I
books
haven't either
ever,
yet.
and I think he does almost all of her books.
Oh,
Um,
that might have just bumped her up the list.
he did Fourth Wing, which like okay, Fourth Wing. A lot of people are really really into it, and I haven't like quite climbed on that bandwagon yet. But now I'm kind of curious what he would sound like, so I might just have to listen to it and find out.
Well, this is a spoiler alert for those who have not read Fourth Wing, but my husband and I went on a road trip last summer and we decided to listen to the first book. And he was listed as a narrator. And I will tell you, and again, spoiler alert to those who don't want to know, just zip through about 30 seconds. He's only in the epilogue.
No.
Yes, he is only in the epilogue because the book is through her point of view. And at the very end, it's his point of view. And so I
Really?
kept waiting and waiting, and it's like a 20-hour book. And I kept waiting, and we're driving through Tennessee, and I'm like, any minute now. And Reese is like, so when is this guy that you think is great going to come on? I'm like, he's got to come on eventually. He's in the credits.
He was listed on like every one of the Fourth Wing books, like all the
Yes.
follows too. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And I think I never finished the second book because reasons. But I made it 10 hours through a 21-hour book, and he hadn't made it in there yet either. So yeah. So if that's the only reason you're going to pick it up, maybe don't.
That's disappointing. Thank you for telling me that.
That is my public service of the day.
It is good to know. And I also feel like that's a little bit of a scam,
Yes.
right?
And I'm wondering like how much, I don't know how much he gets paid in general, but I'm like, how much did he get paid to read like 4 pages?
Which, not to segue, but I have been so curious about how much narrators make, because we know authors don't necessarily make a lot unless you're like someone like Emily Henry or something like that. So I'm curious how much they pay narrators to do these books.
I don't know. I mean, he's big league. I do know through some indie authors, I know that they were looking at not consignment. Oh, what is that called? Where they're sharing the profits. Is it called profit sharing? That's not the right word. Revenue sharing. And they were told that it could be anywhere from $250 to $550 per finished hour. So like if it's a 10-hour audiobook, extrapolate that cost. So thousands of dollars, which is obviously nothing to sneeze at. So, okay, so I'll stop talking about Teddy Hamilton because otherwise this will be the whole show. So who is your top guy? And then I have other guys to gush over too, but I'm just dying to know who your top guy is.
Okay. Top guy. I'm gonna go with Shane East, who actually
Oh my God, he's my second choice.
Fantastic. So he does a lot of like Regency novels, like for Virginia Heath, but he also does all of Samantha Young's novels. So he's naturally a British speaker.
My heart was shattering, but my intense longing for her was burning me up inside.
But he does a really amazing Scottish accent, like very just rugged and manly, and like I could listen to it forever.
I've played orcs and gargoyles. I suppose that's probably the craziest or the most out there. But I've heard of aliens, I've heard of tentacles going on, I've heard of bear shifters, I've heard of blue men. So tell me, what's the most out there thing that you've read, listened to?
It's really good.
If you want to lose your mind, he and Teddy Hamilton, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, did L. Blakely's, I just forgot the name of it. I just wrote it down. Hold on. The Hopelessly Romantic Duet. The two of them are the two leads. And legitimately, like, I just sat in a room and just listened to this, and Reese came in and I'm like, please, you do not exist. Nothing exists until I'm done with this book. It is unbelievable. And the very cool thing, not to steal my own thunder for later, they have the trend of like the actual narration duets where they are reading each other's lines in the other point of view. It's not just the other person putting on the voice. And they have in both books, because it's a 2-part thing, outtakes that's like 30 minutes of them just like goofing around. And I just literally was like listening to that when I was making dinner a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's
did
on
not know this
Audible. I don't know if
existed.
it's available through Libby. I had to spend a little money on it, but well worth it.
Well worth it, yeah. Oh my
But yeah,
God, that
Shane
is
East. Good God.
right. He he's kind of, yeah, he's cute too. Like you can check out his profile.
It
He's
won't be
pretty.
disappointing.
It won't be. Yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, so I put him as my second, I'm gonna say.
That is a wise choice. I had trouble. I picked four, and that was really hard for the guys. And these next two I have are basically tied for third. No offense, they're fabulous. Are you a fan of Andrew Aiden?
I don't know. What has he narrated?
He does thrillers as well. So that's
Okay.
where I learned about him. So heard him first. He does a lot of Geneva Rose books. Most recently, the one I listened to is Home is Where the Bodies Are. He plays one of the brothers. Here's the part that's funny is he did one of the Sarah Adams books, and we recently had a book club, and someone was saying it's not the one that he did. They weren't a fan of the book because of the narrator. And I thought that was sad because he did the first one, When in Rome, in her When in Rome series, and I thought he knocked it out of the park. And he's also done the some of the Bromance Book Club series books by Libby Kay Adams, and I really liked him in How to Fake It in Hollywood by Ava Wilder. That one is like a troubled actor, and the way he did the emotion, like I got a little, weepy.
Yeah.
He's really, I mean, they're all actors, but he was really good with the emotional part of that story in particular. I felt like her writing is amazing, but I felt like he kind of brought it up that extra notch.
She's beautiful, dressed in a black pencil skirt that hugs her hips in all the right ways, a white form-fitting blouse, and a tailored jacket. Every strand of her blonde hair is in place, wrapped in a bun at the nape of her neck. As per usual, her pouty lips and green eyes draw me in. It's her eyes that almost cause me to lose it.
Yeah, no, he's new to me. I'm not familiar with him.
Good luck, and I hope you enjoy Andrew Aiden.
Andrew Aiden, I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
who is your next pick after our buddy Shane East?
All right. These are hard. I have three left. One of them kind of he's at the bottom of my list, but only because I remembered him last minute. And it's Chris Brinkley, who did the Penny
Oh.
Reed books.
She was young and beautiful, with light brown hair, sun-bleached and streaked, and these incredibly sharp gray eyes. She was the kind of beauty you changed all your plans in life for.
Yes.
And I
I
haven't read all of her
forgot about
books,
him.
but she wrote the Ranger books, right? Like
Yep.
Stranger Ranger and Ranger Danger or something like that, right?
And
Those are
the
her.
Winston brothers, he did the Winston
He
brothers
did
too.
the Winston Brothers too, which
How did I
haven't
not think to write him
I haven't
down?
got through all of them, but the thing about him is he has this rugged, like country twang, but like
Mhm.
it's a sexy country sort of accent.
Mhm.
It's just the right pace. It's not too much. It's very sexy. And like I said, it's that sort of rugged, good voice.
Yeah.
Like that
Gosh.
he's that like outdoorsy mountain man kind of voice. Like it's
Yes.
perfect. And like I've gone through in a couple of his books, like that's the voice that he tends to do within the those novels.
And he
So
does
whether
it
he
well.
changes them for characters or not, I don't know, but like you can take that and just carry that over through all those books and I'd be okay listening to it.
Oh yeah, I binged that whole I mean, that came out a while ago too, but I
Yeah.
binged through that whole Winston Brothers series in like a month, and it was I did all audio for him because
Yes.
of his voice. And I forget who the girl was on those, but they had, I think, two girls. But again, they both had like the nice Southern accents, and they were very like cozy but fun but sexy. So yeah.
Yeah, it was like just the perfect cadence. He's really good. I like him.
I like him a lot. And he did Jen Devin's first audiobook, Bend Towards the Sun. She's local here to Columbus. I knew
Okay.
that he had not a Columbus connection. I wish he lived in Columbus.
I was gonna say,
no,
does she
I'm
know
happily
him?
married. I know. I remember going to her launch party and she mentioned that he was the narrator, and I made an ass of myself, and I literally went, ah! I'm like, is he going to be here today? And I wonder how much, like with the acting, obviously, but like, is that his normal voice? If like we just heard him at home, like talking to his wife, making dinner, is that what he sounds like?
That is a great question.
If so, she's a lucky woman.
Exactly.
Well, my last guy for my shout out is Nelson Hobbs. Are you a fan of Nelson Hobbs?
Again, I don't think I know.
Okay, he's done some other Sarah Adams books
Okay.
and some of the Bergman Brothers books by Chloe Leese.
Okay, I
Um,
have heard I've done a couple of the Bergman brother
and
books.
yeah, and most recently he's done a couple Tara DeWitt's. I am now becoming obsessed with her books.
Oh, so like Funny Feelings and okay.
Yeah, so really like him, and I'm assuming he's an American because everything I've heard him do is American, but
I laugh out loud, too. I could join in on the amusement. I mean, I am the funniest and funnest sibling of all. But the entrance doors of Club Craze are so close, and the indoor warmth sounds like my current idea of a good time.
yeah, Nelson Hobbs, very enjoyable, comforting in a way, even though like he does sexy scenes like everybody else, but there's just something in his delivery that's just like, ooh, it's a Nelson Hobbs book, you know?
Yeah, now that you mentioned so Funny Feelings, I liked the book. It wasn't like my favorite. I know a lot of people rave that they absolutely love that book,
Hmm.
but the audio did carry me through it. There was a few times where I was kind of like I wasn't sure I was going to go and finish it, and his voice definitely like added to it. So I think in that case the voice carried me to the end. And it was a decent book. I think it was good. It just I know a lot of people absolutely have been raving about it.
Hmm.
Um I had mixed feelings about it.
So who else do you have on the male side of things?
All right, for my mail, I have two left, and they are
Okay.
both Mariana Zapata narrators.
Ooh,
And it's
yes.
because so Stephen Dexter, he has this very deep voice. And like I think these two books that he was in, I think were The Wall of Winnipeg. So that was football.
God, I love
Um,
that book.
so he has that like that manly sports
Yeah,
spirit.
I just assume he's like 6'5" and like totally
Exactly.
jacked.
The Wall of Winnipeg, yeah.
As I capture her mouth with mine, Farron's fingertips sink down into the front of my pants, inching past my belt, and she tries to jerk me closer to her.
And the other one was Sebastian York, who is All Roads Lead Here.
He was no virgin. He was no saint. He'd had a quiet year by choice. Guilt had clawed at him.
I think Sebastian York, the only one I really recognized him from was Mariana Zapata's All Roads Lead Here. The other books I didn't really recognize, but he does a lot of them.
And obviously he's a good narrator because Zapata's books are very long. I
They're
mean,
very long.
like a day.
And again, those are the ones we've discussed previously. Like they could sometimes be a couple hundred pages shorter. But those voices definitely like those I hate reading them straight on. Like those are the kind of books where I always want the audio because I need to, in order to finish it, I need to be able to listen to it in my car, on my commute, or
Yes.
doing housework, whatever I'm doing.
Yep.
And so I think the narrators in those definitely carry those books through.
Absolutely. Ugh, I just love a good narrator. So we've obviously gushed a lot about the boys. I thought it'd be rude if we didn't give the girls a little shout out. So
Absolutely.
I have some. It was harder for me to remember the women, which makes me sound like a jerk. But but yeah, when I was making my list, I'm like, so and I will admit the first one I'm going to say is known, or I know her more for her thrillers, but I could listen to this woman read a phone book. Have you ever listened to anything that Imogen Church has done? She's British. I discovered her through Ruth Ware's thrillers, but she also, and I didn't realize it until after the fact, I've read Bridget Jones's Diary like a million times, but I listened to it a few years ago on a whim because it popped up on the Libby app. But she narrates Bridget Jones's Diary. So if you want to reread and you want to listen to it, I cannot explain it. I don't know what part of the UK she's from, but I could literally, like, if her and Shane East did a book together, I think my head would explode. Like, the Britishness would just take over and I would just explode.
Noon. London. My flat. Ugh. The last thing on earth I feel physically, emotionally, or mentally equipped to do is drive to Una and Geoffrey Alconbury's New Year's Day turkey curry buffet in Grafton Underwood.
I just absolutely love her voice. I think she's fabulous. And if I ever wrote a book that had British people in it that had the budget to have her do it, I would love her to read it because it's just, I cannot get enough of her voice. And again, I could probably Google her. I don't care what she looks like.
That's true. That's a thing too. Like all the women, I was just like, oh, they're pretty, they're great.
Yeah.
It was different for the men. Like it was a little different for the men. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So who's the first one you thought of when you were working on your list for the women?
All right. So you know how we were talking about like, oh, our favorite male narrators, and I was like, there's some books that I just know the male narrator was amazing. And then I went back and looked and realized that it was a female narrator the entire way through.
No
And so when
way.
the chapters were like, the male and then the female, it would always be the female narrator sort of doing that male voice. And I'm
Hmm.
like, they did it so well that I completely, all these like years later or whatever, forgot that it was a woman the whole time. Um, and the first one for me was Julie Whalen, who does everything for Emily Henry, like all of Emily Henry's
Yep.
books.
Yep.
Um, and there was a whole bunch of Emily Henry books where I went back and I'm like, no, I know there was a male narrator, and there wasn't.
I have no intention of going easy on you, Nora.
And then I'm like, wait a minute, she wrote her own book called Thank You for Listening. And this
Oh,
book
yes.
was literally about a male narrator, book narrator, and a female book narrator, and they have to do this book together, and eventually they fall in love, that sort of thing. And I'm like, I'm telling you, because the male guy, he was just so sexy. I know there was a male guy, and then I look and it's like, no, she wrote the book and she narrated it, and it was all
Is
her the
that the only
entire
one
time.
she's written, I wonder?
I think she's written some other stuff, but I think she has an interesting career when I looked her up.
Mm.
I think she does like producing and she does script writing, like she does all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
So
wow.
she has her fingers in everything, but like whenever I think of an Emily Henry book, I think I hear her voice in my head because she's done just about every one of them, even her YA novels she read.
Oh, I didn't know she did the YA ones too.
She's really, really good.
No, I love her.
And like I said, the fact that like I'm so convinced that there was a male narrator in some of her books is like that's how you like how much you get into it as a listener that you don't
Yes,
even notice anymore.
exactly. No, it really pulls you into the story, and that
Yeah.
just makes such a difference. So I had trouble coming up with just a few. Have you listened to any Brittany Presley?
Yes, refresh me.
She's
She
done
came up
some
on
of
my
Jen
list.
DeLuca's books.
Yes.
I didn't choose the wench life. The wench life chose me.
Some Lauren Chamberlain, Jen McKinley or McKinley, I don't know how you say her name. And then
Yes.
my favorite of hers is Ashley Poston's 7-Year Slip.
Yes. Yes.
I ended up doing a hybrid read because it was for a book club and I didn't have enough time. And I'm like, time to download it and listen to it really quick. So again, like her voice is distinct, but she does, I don't know if she always has to do the male voices, but the ones I've heard, at least when she's doing the male dialogue, it doesn't take you out of it. Like she doesn't try to put on anything funny. But yeah, Brittany Presley, I really like her stuff, specifically the 7-Year Slip. If you're going to listen to any of Ashley Poston's books, that would be my top choice.
That was really good. I enjoyed that book as well. I enjoy her as an author. She does some different stuff, which I really like.
Yeah.
And I think she does it well. Like the
Mhm.
7-Year Slip, I wasn't really sure how that was gonna like pull together.
But it was so good. I think
It
that
was
might be
so
my
good.
favorite. Although, no, Dead Romantics. I know Liz and I disagree on this, but I think Dead Romantics
I
was
enjoyed Dead Romantics as well. The ending pulled it all together eventually.
Yes.
I kind of figured it out halfway through, to be honest with you. I was kind of like, I bet. And I was right. I had no one to share that with, by the way. I was just like,
Yeah.
do you ever like do that where it's like, you're reading the book by yourself, you have no one to share it with, and you're just
Yes,
like,
the book I just finished over my lunch break. I actually it was an arc that I got from Liz. It was Celebrity Crush by an author I already forgot. No offense to the book. She's a new author, that's why I can't remember her name. It was good, but there were a couple scenes where I was getting frustrated, and I'm like, I need to talk to someone about this. And I almost texted Liz, and I'm like, no, damn it, she got me the arc. I don't think she read it. So yeah, no, I totally get that vibe. Well, the last one I have for the ladies is Tanya Eby, and she's been around for a while. I discovered her a bazillion years ago with Susan Mallory when I was going through like her whole Fool's Gold series. I think she has one of the coziest, sweetest voices, and she does primarily women's fiction and romance, but there is just something so comforting about her. Like even just her reading the title page, I'm like, ooh, it's like putting on like a cozy blanket and settling in on the couch for a good listen. Like I find her voice incredibly soothing. And I think she's done some Serena Bowen books, but not any that I've read. I usually think of her with more women's fiction or like the Susan Mallory crowd. But yeah, she is ridiculously cozy, and she's and I think she usually does stuff on the sweeter side, so maybe that's why her voice sounds so cozy, is it's usually not, sometimes I need a palate cleanser from all the smut I read, so it's like time for a Tanya Evie book.
How is it I'm 37 years old and I still get a knot in my stomach when I get a note from the teacher asking me to stop by?
I love that. Also, like on Hoopla, a lot of times it recommends like Christian romance to me because I read a lot of like Regency novels, and I'm like, guys, if you only knew what the rest of my collection looks like, I'm not sure I'd be
I
welcome
thought
to
you were
read
going to
that.
say they were doing that just because they saw what you were reading and they're like, this girl needs to take a break.
You know what? Maybe that is what's happening. An intervention.
Yeah. So who else do you have on your list of ladies?
So I have two more. I'm gonna go with first Patty Murin, who does all of Catherine Center's books. And she also does some Christina Lauren stuff, but like Catherine Center's books, first of all, like all of her stuff is just so joyful. Like whatever is happening, it is just so feel good, and you know you're guaranteed a happy ending. And her voice just like it's so good with expressing the highs and the lows of this character, and how like even when the characters get really down, there's still sort of like a little bit of positivity there. And as a person who's not at all like that, I am not a positive, happy, easy-go-lucky person. I
We
find
have
it
that in
really
common. It might be a
soothing.
familial trait.
It's very uplifting and soothing, and she's so funny. And once again, like that's the same thing where like when I think of Catherine Center, who like I actually really follow her Instagram, and she's like constantly with videos, and like she's interactive with me. She's like sent me like she's responded to me for things and stuff.
Oh, I love
So I
that.
feel like this closeness to her, and I feel like when Patty Murin reads her books, I feel like that's almost like Catherine Center's voice. Like as a writer, you have a voice when you're writing, and I just feel like Patty Murin really narrates and captures Catherine Center's voice. I think that's sort of what it is for me.
The first person I called after I found out I'd placed in the North American Portrait Society's huge career-making yearly contest was my dad. Which is weird, because I never called my dad.
And then my last one, which also brings me to this idea of like celebrities doing narration. You know Eleanor Tomlinson, who was in Poldark, and she's done like a lot of,
Yes.
movies and stuff since. So she did The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary.
For our anniversary in July, Dylan takes me to the poshest restaurant in Chichester. He's got a job tutoring some super rich Russian kids. They give him hundreds of pounds as a birthday gift. I buy him a cafetiere which sits on our sideboard at home, looking a bit shit in comparison.
She did One Day in December, which was one of the very first ones she narrated with Josie
God,
Silver.
that book.
Josie Silver. And One Night on the Island was also a Josie Silver book.
Oh, she did that one too. I remember
that one too. That one did have a male narrator. Whew. I was like, okay, I know I'm not going crazy on that one. Yeah. But yeah, One Day in December was just like, that's one of my favorite books. And I know you and I think we've had this discussion about how the ending is just sort of like, either you love it or you hate it. Like it's sort of, but the book itself, like every couple of years, I just re-listen to it, and like her voice is just so, it's very heartbreaking, but it's also like a really great romance.
Yes.
I threw my love at first sight sob story into the pity pot and then immediately wished I hadn't. It's not that I don't trust Sarah with my story, it's more that from that second forth she has become even more obsessed with finding him again than I am. And I'm quietly going crazy over him.
I love that book. So,
No,
and her, like I said, her narration is just really brilliant. So I like her.
Yes, and I think I've read it twice. I've only listened to it the first time, but then I think it was like a book of the month or something. So yeah, apparently when I just want to feel something, I'll pick it up and be like, time to be sad.
It is. It's just it's a very emotional, all the feels kind of book.
Do you ever just search for narrators instead of authors or titles? Like, do you ever get in a mood and you're like, you know what, I just need to listen to whoever and search and see what they have that's new?
So way back, I think when Audible was kind of newer on the market, and I was like naive, and I like paid my membership not realizing that you could get audiobooks from like the library and so on. Or I don't know that we even really had those apps back then. Yeah, I would listen to a book, and if I liked the narrator, I would search for that narrator again. Like Carrie Mulligan did The Midnight Library.
Yes.
And that was just amazing. And she's done a couple of of narrations, and she's really good.
Mhm.
So yeah, I used to do it by narrators, but I haven't done that in a really long time. But then when you brought this up, this segment, I was like, you know what? I got to start doing that again. I really have to again.
Yep.
And two, now that you mentioned some of these, the Teddy Hamilton and the Shane East, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
looking that up for sure.
Yeah, it's you're gonna just spend the whole day just sitting in your like just giggling like an idiot, or at least I did, which isn't saying much.
I love it.
So, what is the one thing with a narrator that is going to make you stop listening to the book, or it's going to take you out of the story?
Listening to Outlander and all of this series, pretty much, I listen to a lot of that in audiobook because that's a lot to get through. She seems so much older than the character. Like her voice sounded
Yep.
older. And
Mm-hmm.
like, so Claire's this young woman who's like in her mid 20s, maybe. And she just sounded like she was in her 40s or 50s. Like, I felt like she was a lot older. And I had a hard time. Like, it was a lot of like adding my own imagination to try to override that. But again, I was
Mm-hmm.
desperate because it's such a long book. Like the only way we were going to get through it is like to do part
Yeah.
audio and part. And for the entire series, like every book after that's like 1,000 pages. So,
Yeah.
and she's the narrator for the entire thing. Um, and I think she's great. I think she's a wonderful narrator. I just didn't feel like she was Claire.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Especially if you watch the show too. You kind of have like visions and thoughts, and it's
Yeah.
like, and I understand they're obviously not going to get the same person to do it. That doesn't make sense, but sometimes it's like,
Yeah. I mean, what's it for you?
For me, it's and this kind of ties into something we've talked about before, children in books. If the narrator's voice for the kids is annoying, it's like, ooh, this is going to be a long book. And it's when it gets like kind of whiny and it feels like
Yeah.
they're just being whiny because they don't know how. I mean, and obviously, and I've felt this way with both male and female narrators. If it's just like any scene with the kid, I might already be like, all right, let's move on. But when it's like a whiny voice, it just drives me crazy. Another thing I've noticed, and I don't know if it's just a trend with how things are being written, but I've noticed that if there's laughter, sometimes the laughter sounds so forced. And it's like, what is this? Like, I almost preferred it if they would just say, they would say, oh, he laughed, instead of like the chuckle. The Teddy Hamilton and Shane East, their chuckling
They
they
have
do.
good chuckles.
Yeah,
They can chuckle
hello.
all they want.
Yeah, they can. This does not include them, but I've noticed that if it's like kind of like a ha, 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 like it just sounds manic, and it's like, what the hell am I listening to? I don't. That is one thing. I'm not going to necessarily stop, but I might like grimace and be like, ugh, let's hope this scene ends soon, because I don't know, it just takes me out of it.
For me, so when you brought up the children one, Jenny Colgan books, her narrators are great, but when they get to the children, she gets like, I think she's had different narrators throughout, but some of the repeating ones get this very like squeaky, annoying, whiny, and
Yep.
I like find myself fast forwarding through whatever the kids said because I don't care anyway.
Yeah.
But like the voice is even worse. Like maybe don't do the kid's voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
hear you with that.
Yeah, that ends it for me.
I have a question for you.
Ooh, please.
What speed do you listen to your narration at?
Okay. So I usually start at the very low end is 1.25, and that's pushing it because life is short and I like to get my books in. 1.5 is usually like this, my standard speed. Although I will say, I don't remember who it was. It was an English narrator, and his accent was lovely. And I found I couldn't go faster than 1.25 because it was just, it sounded like he was Mickey Mouse. Like it
Yeah,
changed
it
the
gets
whole
robotic.
inflection. So I will say Teddy Hamilton can go up to double speed for me, and I don't feel like it ruins anything, which is a weird sentence to say. So yeah, in general, 1.5 is my default.
Yeah, I think my standard is 1.25, and I think it's because I think it's my New York thing where like if people talk a little too slow, it really bothers me. Like
Yes.
just get to it, or I'll like end up trying to finish what they're saying because like I kind of lose my patience, and it's very rude. It's extremely rude. I'm just gonna say it. I know it is. But like there is, and that's what I was talking about too with Chris Brinkley. Like his
Mhm.
timing is okay. Like it's not too drawly or too slow. Like I
Yes.
appreciate it. So yeah, I like to listen to mine a little bit faster though, because I do feel like there's some narrators that do take lots of pauses and really
Yes.
emphasize things. I'm like, okay, let's just speed it up because I have another
Yeah,
15 minutes till I get home and we need to get this wrapped up.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
1.5 though or higher, I do feel like starts getting a little like, yeah. I
Yeah.
start getting anxious, I think, listening to
Yeah.
it.
It's funny because sometimes, your Bluetooth will pair at inopportune times. And I remember years ago when my in-laws were visiting, I was driving somewhere and thank God it wasn't a smutty part of a book, but my audiobook kicked on and I was listening to it at double speed. And I just remember my father-in-law just literally laughing his ass off. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like, "Oh, listening to an audiobook. Don't worry about it." And he's like, "How can you understand?" And Reese will say the same thing. He's like, "How can you understand what they're saying?" But it's like, I'm a fast reader, and so I feel like once I get
Yes.
into the story, it's like, let's roll, baby.
Yes, exactly.
I will say this just popped into my head. It's a combination of everything we just discussed. I know you liked Canadian Boyfriend. Did you
Yeah.
listen to it? Because
This
Joshua
is
Jackson
funny.
was the narrator.
This is funny because when I listened to it, I had no idea. It wasn't until like you and I were discussing it, and then you said that, and I like went back because I wasn't really a Joshua Jackson fan. I was Felicity. I wasn't Dawson's Creek. I would
Oh, I
like.
liked them both. But see, and I like Dawson. And now if I watched it now, I'd be like, what the hell were you thinking?
I went back and I'm like, knowing that it's his voice now, I can't unhear that it's Joshua Jackson. But when I was listening to it the first time,
Mhm.
it was Canadian Boyfriend. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting that like first of all that I had no idea that that's who it was because
Yeah.
that happens a lot too where I'm just like I need the audio and I don't even pay attention to who the narrators are.
Yeah.
So unless they're really good, I don't really make note of it. But once you said that, like right after I'd read that, I was like, oh my God.
Sarah told me once, when I asked her how she'd gotten through the hard times in her life, and she'd had some hard times, that the trick was to look for the bright things and hold on to those. Aurora Evans was a bright thing.
And then that sort of brings up my last thing, which is like I notice whenever I go to Libby that the wait period for audiobooks is so much longer lately
Yes.
than the wait book for the actual book.
Yes. I've noticed
So
that too. I think, Liz, we're going to get you. We're going to get you as a convert and you're going to become an audio fan. She is shaking her head no.
a lot of people are like, "Oh, I just can't get into it. I get distracted." But I think if you do hybrid, it can be
Yes.
helpful.
Yes, that was my last question was, do you like to do hybrid? Because I probably do that with almost half of what I read just because of timing. Like if I know I'm going to be going for a walk or driving around or commuting, it's just nice to multitask.
Yeah, it's the only way I can read the volume of stuff that I do, and like I sort of have a protocol for it, which is like I start the book off by reading it so that I can set myself up and understand what everything's
Interesting. I
like what's
do
going to
the
be
opposite.
happening, and then I listen to the audiobook because then I'll be like, oh, okay, I know what's going on.
Interesting. I do the opposite because I want to get their voices in my head. So then when I'm reading it myself, I can kind of fall back on that. That's interesting. I like it.
I think it's because I'm impatient, like because like if I'm listening to the audio, my mind's gonna wander too, and like I have to like refocus it constantly and be like, oh my God, what
That's
did I
true.
just miss? And so if I already have an idea of what's going on, then I'm easier to just sort of get into it.
No, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's interesting though.
Well, that was all I had. Did you have any other questions or anything?
One more, one
Okay.
narrator or two.
Okay, I right now with this whole theme of duets and having the two voices, because the Celebrity Crush, I did a hybrid read on that, and I really enjoyed that because there was some great banter, and
Yes.
so having them doing that in the scene, I thought added to it. So I will say two. I used to not mind if it was just one. But I feel like lately there just seems to be more bells and whistles. Literally, I mean, sometimes they even have like some sound effects.
Yes.
And so I like that because it kind of gives it more of like a, not a theatrical feel, but it gives it more of like a, I don't know. I'm going to go with theatrical feel actually.
No, it really is. It's theatrical. Again, it's that voice acting. It's like, the imagination and it's a little
Mhm.
bit of like audio theater.
So do you also you prefer dual narration?
I do. I really, and again, as I said, like there was some of those female narrators where I kind of forgot that it wasn't dual
Mhm.
narration. But yeah, I do like having that sort of back and forth, the changing of the voices. And even now lately, as you mentioned, sometimes within chapters,
Mhm.
she'll be like, and he said, and then the male narrator comes in, and you're like, oh my God, how would
Yep.
they do that? Because literally it's not something you're really used to if you're an avid like listener.
Exactly.
That's sort of been trending the past maybe only 2 or 3 years that I really
Yeah,
remember
it
this
seems
happening.
really recent. And frankly, I'm here for it as long as it lasts because I just feel like it just adds something.
Yeah. I'm sure it's extra, unlike they paid extra money for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. These aren't the small beans authors. These are the big wigs doing it.
Seriously. But yeah, so I like the double narrators. Yeah.
Well, now we have to go find new books.
Let me tell you, I got quite a pile over here.
I know. Same.
And then as I was researching this, I was like, oh my God, Teddy Hamilton has done all these other hockey romances, and that's my thing lately.
And I slammed her small body back against the wall as my body pressed fully against hers. She moaned.
Well, I think we should start and end the show with Teddy Hamilton, so.
That's not a bad place to start and stop.
And that's our roundup. Thank you to guest co-host Cousin Carri for joining the show. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps. Thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.